on loan at
That was close, wasn't it?
whoosh! You didn't even know what was going on around us. Good evening and welcome to the Pinkun Show, the Norwich City fanzine that is live on Mustard and on YouTube to bring you another dose of deadline day wonderment from the Canaries. Does it get any better? Well, there was a win on Saturday too. Plus we've got Star City pundit, Hall of Famer, and the only person here that's cost millions of pounds, Darren Eadie. He'll be taking us through all the January transfer drama as the window is gently closed at 11 p.m.
Yes.
Unless someone slams it.
It will all be over when we'll shut. The window will shut.
Oh, don't.
Have I stole one of yours?
Literally.
I've stole one of your
2 minutes
your
in.
bongs, and I've stolen your bong.
We're going to peak far too soon. Joining me and Darren, we've got, you would have seen them then, I'm sure, Radio Norwich's finest Scotsman, Stuart Hodge, and future Radio stellar Norwich City fan, Mustard Sport's very own, Phil Arms. If you want to get in touch with all of us, leave a comment under the live YouTube stream. Hopefully that works. Just search for Mustard TV's YouTube channel. And of course, you can send us a tweet with your views or questions. Just include the handle @Pinkun. Right, let's kick off with some deadline day headlines. Eyes will shut. I don't think that's as good as Darren's, actually. Will City get their man? Well, we hope so. We believe Wigan forward Yannick Wilshere has plumped for City over Derby. A £7 million deal is being sorted. Powerful, 25 years old, Dutch forward, City player. Burnley on the rob. Wilshere is the key to Robbie Brady completing his Clarets move at the second time of asking. The Clarets shelled out a record fee in excess of £10.5 million. That's also City's record sale. And it's still a shame, in my eyes. Sergi to Brentford. That cannot be right. Come on.
Good, you're
Come
good.
on.
You're good,
You like that
baby.
one, didn't you? It's gone on all month. Now it's sorted. It's all hinged on Scott Hogan getting his big Premier League move. All he was left with was joining Aston Villa. They don't play in the Premier League anymore and are literally signing anything that moves. Still, the Bees fancied spending their new money on Sergi. City got their summer money back. How he does from here will be of interest to everyone in a yellow and green persuasion. And it's Miller's time for Morris. Carlton Morris. He has signed on loan at Rotherham for the rest of the season. Miller's boss and City fan Paul Warne also said the move only got done once Norwich had got their business sorted today, which was a nice thing for him to say. We are, of course, still waiting. The final bong is done. And it's also worth adding, of course, Norwich also beat Birmingham on Saturday. For some more football. We will, of course, keep you up to date with the key moves over the next hour or so, although, you know, deadline day is 11, but you never know. Deals get done after that. Anyway, Darren, Stuart, Phil, thank you so much for coming in. Welcome to the deadline day Mustard Mayhem.
I feel like I should have a tie on or something. Like yellow tie.
A yellow tie.
Well,
I've got a bit of yellow.
You've got 1902 there, Phil. That is official Norwich merchandise.
It actually is,
Which is obviously very supportive of how we are. So how are we all feeling then about Norwich's plight? over this transfer window and deadline day,
I
Stuart?
think there's been a lot of negativity, but I
Yes!
actually think, for the most part, the squad's not in too much worse shape than it was going into the window at the time.
Yeah, I think my expectations are always rather low when it comes to deadline day with Norwich, so I think anything is a bonus. I like Stuart, I don't think we'll come out of this too bad. You've obviously going to lose a couple of players you would like to have kept, but who haven't really performed so far this season, and you're going to replace them with some decent players. So, don't judge them until they play for Norwich and see how they do then. So I don't think we're any worse place off in terms of the actual squad. For me, it's still more than strong enough to get ourselves in the playoffs.
And it's been interesting, hasn't it? Because we lost 2 down the left, and as Wildshut does come in, we've got 2 more down the left. But the 2 that have come in are really big units. There's been a lot of talk about the fact that Norwich are a smallish team over recent months and that sort of thing, and has that worked against us? These 2 guys that are coming in, they're both one's 6 foot, the other one's 6'4", 13 and 14 stone. That's putting a little bit of muscle in the side.
And Dykes is more of a left back as well, so he's clearly going to fill that position that Olsen has left, you would think. Wilshere, I'm not quite sure where he's going to fit into the side, because clearly if they do sign him, it's going to be for a fair chunk of money. Who are they going to replace him with? They're not going to put him up front instead of Jerome or Oliveira, who've deserved their opportunity.
Doesn't he play down the left-hand side?
But then if he comes down the left, you can talk in Naismith. But then actually Naismith, over recent weeks, has probably been Norwich's best player. So it's a real difficult one.
Let's go through. Well, let's just go through them individually, shall we? Robbie Brady, 10, 11 million pounds, probably initially rising to 13. That's what I'd say. Are we happy with that? To me, I think it's a real shame. I think he's a quality player, and I think Norwich.
I'm not too upset, to be honest with you, Michael. The last 2 weeks, we've seen the Robbie Brady we really like. The first couple of months he was here, we saw the Robbie Brady we thought we were buying. But in between, it's been really up and down, and I really don't think his head has been in a yellow and green shirt.
Which has been levelled at him a lot, hasn't it? We've
Um,
got the scroller going on with the live updates.
For me, I just kind of, people, it's always in hindsight easy to say. I know people have said about Redmond obviously been named as under 21 player of the season this year, recently, and how well he's done since he's left Norwich. But I judge them on their form for Norwich. I don't care what they do before they come to the club or when they leave the club. It's about what they do here. And Redmond at the time I felt was good money for him because he wasn't performing well. And same with Robbie Brady. As much as we know he can play better and do better, he's not doing it here. So what money you can get for him, if he doesn't want to be here, I think you're better off selling him and trying to bring in 2 or 3 others that can add to that. And it's not just about the quality. I think you're going to lose out on an actual ability-wise by losing someone like a Robbie Brady, but you're probably going to replace him with someone who's a bit more fit for the Championship.
That's a really good point. I think part of the problem is Norwich City have come down from the Premier League. There's a lot of players there that have maybe an expectation that they want to be playing football at that level. Maybe Robbie Brady's one of those footballers, whereas you're bringing in Mitchell Dykes, a new player who will be eager to prove himself in a new country, and will shoot. I mean, that's a bit of a punt for me, to be honest. But I think there's definitely a player there. We saw that when Wigan were at Carrow Road earlier this season. But it's whether he fits into the sort of dynamic that Norwich have got. I'm not sure about that. But Mitchell Dykes, I think, is an excellent acquisition.
I think with Dykes, the interesting one is the loan deal, isn't it? You're talking a permanent deal in the first place, which means they're part of the club. They feel part of the club. Always worries me a little bit on the character of a player when it is down to a loan deal. Are they in it? If things start to go wrong, is he going to think, doesn't matter, I'm going back to Ajax, doesn't matter to me?
That surely is the answer to the whole question, isn't it? Because he wouldn't come to a Championship club, in the way I think about it, because we're in the Championship and not looking like things are going well towards the promotion. But now he's got a situation, well, I can go and have a go, try myself in a different league, set myself up. If Norwich do go up, then I'll sign on the dotted line.
He's been given the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
Simply, if they go up, he can stay here. If they don't, he can go back to us.
As you mentioned, it depends how it goes.
Yeah.
If it starts going wrong, is when it's going to
that's where the
test his
recruitment
character.
process comes in again, though. That when they're looking at the type of player, not just how they play football, but their mentality to want to do that.
Let's hope they've got it right this time. Lewis Grabban has tweeted he's joined Reading on loan for the rest of the season, which might mean that he'll get to come down to Carrow Road before the season's done. Have a little reunion with Alec Neil, that'd be nice. Word on Carlton Morris, he's gone out on loan to Rotherham, so he's going to get Championship football. Clearly they're a struggling side, but that strikes me as a great opportunity for him.
Good opportunity for him, and I felt he's probably someone that's deserved an opportunity here at times this season. So I'm sad to see him go, really. I think he earned his opportunity here. He's not going to get it. He's going to go away and play some football. And you talk about people like Lafferty still here and still clinging on.
Clinging on.
Talks a good game, but actually no one's come in for him again. So
Why
it's
has
a shame.
Tottenham Morris though not been given the chance? That's the question.
Because they play
isn't
one
it?
up front and they've got Oliveira and Cameron Jerome scoring goals, so it's an easy thing to leave them
I
out.
think there's a debate to be had over Alec Neil's management of younger players still as well. Well, let's step away from the deadline day for just a moment and reflect on Saturday's win over Birmingham at Carrow Road. I was enjoying a first birthday party at the weekend, as you do, but Darren and the matchday team were down at Carrow Road.
Yeah, I was.
You were there, you remember it? Good. Well, they were there to get all the best reaction from Saturday's win.
We spoke about how it was going to be an open, offensive match for both teams. You know, and I think the first half really could have finished sort of 3 each, 4-3, whatever, because there's quite a few chances. But I don't really like my teams playing just to sit in and sort of be hard to beat. We want to try and set up to win the game, and that made, I think, for an open, entertaining game. And I was confident with our quality that I was hoping we score more goals in the end, which we did. But it's one of the games, because there's two ways to go about it. You can sit back into your shape and let them have the ball and try to hit them the counter, or you can try and do what we did, which is get up and play against them and get in their face and hope to win the battle. And like I say, I think the first half both teams had good chances, and fortunately for us, we took ours.
So on the other hand, we created a few chances, very good chances in the first half, but we couldn't convert them. I think that was the difference. Probably the first half, apart from the last five minutes, probably we played much better than them. But again, they scored 2, we didn't. So this is the end of the day. It's we need to make sure that when we have chances and we play better, then we need to convert. Otherwise, others will. This is, in my opinion, been the difference today. In the second half, we tried, and then, of course, in counter, we consider a lot of chances. But so I think we are in a point in which we have to try to maximize everything we have. Otherwise, it's going to be trouble.
Yeah, obviously it's back-to-back wins for these guys at home now. So hopefully we can build off the back of the performance, and we've got a couple of away fixtures coming up now. So obviously it's battling bottom of the table. Performance and the level of performance and intensity into those games, and start climbing the league and winning some games.
I thought we should have won by more, to be honest with you. I thought chance in the second half. I mean, the header that Naismith had, it put on a plate for him, but it was comfortable really. Birmingham did all right in the first half, but in the second half, I think we looked like we should have had more goals, and quite an easy win really compared to some of the games we've had this season.
What do you think of Alex Neil? Do you think he should be in the job still now?
No.
He hasn't turned you around?
No, I don't think he's got it really.
It's a great 2-0 win again today, though, so it's interesting.
No, and Birmingham, surprisingly, because they've played about 8 games under
Zola,
and they haven't won, have they? But they started off today playing. I thought they were playing really well, so it was a good result.
I love the matching red caps. That's brilliant stuff. So there were only 5 fixtures in the Championship last weekend. Let's have a look at those fixtures, shall we? Norwich, of course, picking up their 2-0 win. Ipswich held to a draw at Preston. A wonderful goal from Tom Lawrence there. Burton piling on the misery on QPR. Reading picking up a useful win. And Barnsley competing against their own fire sale with a win at Rotherham. And those are tonight's fixtures. They have all been completed. So we haven't got those fixtures there, but this is the bottom of the table as it stands at the moment. Wigan, of course, in serious trouble, as are Bristol City. Wigan have been trying to rebuild their side, and this is how things stand at the top of the table, although I don't know if that's up to date because Sheffield Wednesday played tonight. But Norwich are 8th, and they are still only 2 points off the top 6. Which is pretty handy. Okay, well, it's 5 wins out of the top 6 games at home now at Carrow Road.
Yeah, it's looking good.
And we had a lot of talk about crisis. That, as a home form, is pretty good going.
But one of the things that's interesting to me there, about Norwich are obviously starting to move forwards again, but it's Reading is the one that they've just won again tonight. Ipswich have lost again this evening, so that's gone the other way. And of course, with Ipswich losing and going that way, and Norwich starting to win and going that way, that makes February the 26th quite interesting.
It does indeed. I've already heard it called the P45 Derby, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. Ipswich lost 3-0 at home to Derby. Tom Lawrence got taken off at half-time with an ankle injury as well, and he's been basically their sole bright spot recently. Now, Stephen Naismith has been playing very well for Norwich recently. I think so, and I've written a column on it. I wrote a column on it last Friday. But Norwich City fan Ron wasn't quite so keen on Saturday.
Well, it was a good performance, but Naismith is useless. He's absolutely useless. He's missed at least 3 goals. He doesn't play the ball forward. He always plays it back, apart from once at the end when that. But no, they played well.
Don't you think that he was getting in the good positions and creating chances for other people?
No, he moans like mad at everybody. He's telling everybody what to do, and I don't like him, as you've gathered.
Really? Well, a lot of people have been asking for leaders. Surely that's a good thing too. He's a leader on the pitch.
Well, he does gee them up, but he is so busy mucking about, telling people you should be doing this and doing that and doing that and the other. I'm not with him, actually.
Okay. Now, we've got the same hat on. We look great together, don't you think? Nice red hat. You've got a red hat.
Yes.
So I think we should be best friends and say...
Oh, I was desperate to hear what I was going to say then. I don't think Ron wanted to be best friends, did he? Anyway, Stephen Naismith, Stuart, you were sort of, tensing up at that.
Sometimes I think the negativity with certain factions in the Norwich City support is quite baffling, really. Because I think you've got to look sometimes at the players that are really going out there and giving 110% every week. And I think Stephen Naismith is one of those. And as your column alluded to, he's one of the few players out there that looks like he absolutely cares about everything that happens on the field and tries to get the best out of everyone round about him. At the weekend, he missed a few chances. That is very true. Some of his finishing wasn't the best, but the kind of things that some people don't notice. For Cameron Jerome's first goal, Stephen Naismith was making a very important run, which kept the defender in two minds as to what to do, and that's why Cam had the time. He obviously showed a lot of composure, but that's why he had the time to tuck it away.
The thing about Stephen Naismith, he'll berate himself if he doesn't do things wrong as well. And earlier, I know when he first arrived, people were like, oh, he's just getting on at people, and it's not great maybe when things aren't going well. But essentially, Norwich have needed someone to pull them up by their bootstraps.
I totally agree. I think he's found his feet in recent weeks. I think he's got his feet under the table a little bit now. And when I say that, I mean, look, it's difficult when you come into a club and they kind of want him to be that leader, and he wants to be that. But if you're not playing regularly yourself and you're not playing very well, it's very difficult to start barking at other people because they won't respect you so much. But the fact he's now playing regularly in the team, he's playing better, it gives him the authority to then try and impose himself on other people, which I think he's done, and it's worked.
And we've not had any speculation about him leaving in this window, really.
No, one of the things I like about him is he's feisty, he gets stuck in. He's that little bit of bite in midfield that I think perhaps we've been lacking. And when I say midfield, the sort of further forward part of the midfield, as opposed, I mean, we've seen Tetty and Howson doing their job guarding the defence, but Naismith has been getting in there up at the front, causing a little bit of a nose and being annoying and getting amongst it and being that feisty little character that you need that unsettles the defence, and they're sort of looking over their shoulders then. And like you say, why he hasn't been touted, who knows? I'm quite happy for him to stay now. A month or so ago, I'd have been, well, I'm not too worried if he goes, but no, he's starting to show his real
It's not
mettle.
just match day now, which is important. It just doesn't on the match, but you can tell in the change rooms at the training ground, he's imposed himself too.
You've got to remember he's an experienced player as well.
He's been around.
Yeah, I think that's sort of exactly what you're saying, Phil. That defending from the front, that's when Norwich City have been at their best
I'm going to have to
recently.
interrupt you, I've got to nip off to the pub, and I.
Go off you go. To
Lucky
the
me.
wall pack.
See you, boys.
Get out. I'll see
I'll
if
see you
someone
later
gets you a pint. They might not. Darren's going to go speak to some football fans at a pub. That is part one just about done. Darren's off to the pub to speak to some fans. Meanwhile, we'll be staying here, rooted to the spot. We'll have live breaking deadline day news when we return. Talk is cheap. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in 3. He's on the pitch. A win, tick. Transfer business, tick. Welcome back to the Pinkun Show tonight, live on deadline day. We're here with Stuart Hodge and Phil Arms, and of course Darren Eadie, who is hopefully down the Woolpack in a bit, just round the corner from Merchant Towers. So we'll get to speak to him with some football fans, assuming there are any still there, having watched Liverpool draw with Chelsea, of course, this evening. Yes, just trying to remember. Yes, which seemed like a pretty good game watching
Costa missed a penalty
from the office. He did indeed, and David Luiz scored a lovely free kick. We're still waiting. It is 22:51, says my phone. Nothing coming through yet in terms of Yannick Wilshere.
For you. If Brady's gone, who's taking our free kicks?
Who don't we want to take the free kicks? That's
well,
always an easy one.
Well, Wes Hoolahan hit a rugby conversion at the weekend, although I do love Wes.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Before our Wes.
Alex Pritchard had a great reputation as a free kick taker.
Yes, he did. But he
Well,
wasn't
yeah,
on
but
the park.
And then when they put on a Norwich shirt, it doesn't tend to work out for
No,
him. Robbie Brady was very good taking free kicks.
Robert
from
Snodgrass
Ireland.
notwithstanding, of course.
Of course not, Robert Snodgrass. Although we didn't hit one like he hit for Hull, it must be said. I think I can hear Skype ringing in my ear, so you may well be able to hear that as well. Can we all hear that? That's good.
Yep.
It's like a rave. There we go. Well, there's Darren. It's like the OA here.
Was that not? Yeah, no,
There he is. Let's hope no one swears. Let's hope no one
I can hear you,
swears.
Michael. Is that you?
Yes. This is live. This is live telly.
Look at this, look.
We
It's like
had.
Portman Road in here.
Wow. Is
It's
that?
Portman Road.
Well, get yourself a pint.
We've got a couple of Norwich fans here. I will come down to the level so you can see them. Just talking about transfer deadline day. How's it been for you for Norwich?
It's not been a bad day, as I say. If we can get Luke in, two players out, 2 players in, with balance the side out. It'd be nice to get a striker in, but it's not nowadays.
So you sound relatively optimistic for someone who deadline day for Norwich City doesn't generally go pretty well, does it?
I think the club gets a bit of a roar, and then Alex Neil in particular has had a bit of a short shot. He's been let down by the ball, so I think I'm a realist in terms of.
And do you think the squad they've got anyway is decent enough to get back into the Premier League? It's still got a strong squad.
It's good enough. It's whether they've got the design. Some of them have been up there, been back down, up there, back down. It's to their design to still carry on actually and have the will fight and claw their way back up to the which they need to do.
Absolutely. So losing to someone like Brady, losing to someone like Olsen, not that bothered because they haven't done particularly well for Norwich, have they?
Brady on his day is a class player. Don't get me wrong. That in terms of natural talent, that's a big loss. I think Dykes for Olsen could potentially be a like for like, but it's whether it's Brady going. His last few games fantastic, but it's not always. If you think back to when we played Arsenal, where it's awesome for him today, made hers in Sunday league, but it's not actually enough.
So the optimism is still there for you?
It's still there.
Good.
Just about.
Well, I tell you what, that is live deadline day stuff from the Woolpack in Norwich. Actually, I should say from Portman Road. It's been a pleasure. Back to the studio.
Well done, Darren. I think he carried that out quite well, didn't he? Really. And he's a good Norwich City fan. And it seems like it's ages since we heard someone speak positively about Alec Neil.
Do you know something? He was really measured, that lad. Some of the points he made were over the hubbub, quite eloquent.
Hey, imagine if the pub had been full. We wouldn't have stood a chance.
Who was it tripped over in the background? There's obviously something going on there.
Could have been Ian Rudd.
Yeah, indeed. No, I thought that was quite interesting there. You said about the positivity towards Alec Neil because, of course, we've been through this period over the last 2 months where, it's almost been toxic down at Carrow Road at times. I mean, I don't like to use that expression, but it has been that bad. And some of the social media feeds and the crowd in general have been pretty anti-Alex. So to hear someone like that sitting there, and like you say, the actual comments he was making was measured with regards to Alex and quite positive. And the other thing is, I will actually go on record and say, I'm quite pleased with the board by sticking with Alex Neil, simply because they've provided some consistency. When we see all these other clubs, 5 managers in a season, or no, in half a season, and that sort of thing, all right, it hasn't been going right, but he's actually steadied the ship. He's started to turn it round again. They're starting to do what he wants them to do, as it were. And to see a club stand by their man and show, and the only example I can give for that is Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United in his early days.
Well, he'll like that, Sir Alec Neil, almost certainly. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get more fan views, shall we? Because it is one of the most emotional nights in football, whether you like it or not. Let's hear from you guys, shall we? Yes, talk is cheap on deadline day. This is effectively the perfect storm, and we're still, of course, waiting for Yannick Wilshere confirmation. Now, David Powell is on the phone, I believe. David, good evening to you. Happy deadline day night too. What would you like to talk about?
Well, why do we always leave it so late to leave?
Poor Dave. It was a good point, really, from David.
Was
Why
that
have
the
they always leave it so late?
No, he makes a very good point, and I'm just wondering, was that the window shutting a bit early?
Has the window shut on him?
Yes.
Oh gosh, David, ring us back. I hope
This
you're all
sounded
right.
like a sash window coming down, didn't it?
I hope it hasn't, crushed him or anything like that. Anything dark.
I think it's just how the January deadline sort of window works, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of speculation for the first 28 or 29 days, and then just a mad rush at the end, and it's kind of followed that pattern.
I mean, Paul Warne gave it away earlier on today, didn't he? I mean, his statement about Carlton Morris and all the rest of it. That actually, yes, it did. Yeah,
He's back. Yeah, we heard you over the hubbub.
Where's the
over the
you were
hubbub?
supposed to be bringing the beer. Where's the beer?
It's back in.
I drank it.
Oh.
There he is. Look at that. Seamless.
That's cold and wet.
You made that seem like it was only around the corner.
Yeah, there's a Portman Road, you see it? It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, Paul Warne gave the game away, and that answers David's question in a minute. One thing has to fall into place, and then all the dominoes start to fall over one behind the other, or the cards go into position. You just need that one move to make everything else happen, and until that goes in place, then all the other positions can't be done. The ins and the outs can't take place.
I don't know if it's because we had games tonight as well, which clearly Premier League games.
Takes the
Norwich
shine
were
off it,
supposed
doesn't
to be playing tonight,
Yeah.
but also to me it seems to have been much more settled than other deadline. We kind of knew what business Norwich were going to do, and there weren't any sort of late minute. Oh, this, oh, that.
I think clubs have worked out now how to play it, because before it was all a bit of a frenzy trying to get what you could get, but now I think players, managers, agents have all managed it better, which is making it easier to manage for football clubs, but actually not as exciting. I suppose.
Do you feel the clubs are managing the agents better?
Well, that would be a lovely idea if that happened.
But managing the tricks of the agents better, should I say?
Yeah, perhaps, but I think it's just lost its gloss.
Indeed. All right. Well, we've got our second caller on the line. We're hopefully going to get David Powell back on the line later on. But this is Vinny Manzi. Vinny, we've spoken to you a few times on the show. Great to have you back on. How are your transfer deadline day feelings given? Well, we've probably got about 2 minutes, although my watch is fast.
Just the same old feeling you get every time when there's a Norwich City transfer window, Michael, sort of hanging on, hoping that the paperwork's been lodged and maybe something will come through after 11 o'clock. I think they did quite well with Robbie Brady, considering he's been so inconsistent. One thing I did want to bring up, actually, with you guys, I know it's not Norwich City related, is what you thought of one of our rivals, Aston Villa's dealings, because it just seems to me that they've kind of gone, well, if we're not getting promoted, nobody else is, and they've kind of swallowed up all the best players in the league, and I had to laugh when they lost 3-0 this evening. So I just wondered what your guys' thoughts are on the competitors and the fact that Wednesday seemed to be in line to sign Jordan Rhodes as well.
It's a great question there, Vinny. But there we go. That was a massive explosion. There's a cow with a bell in the studio, and Jake's shouting at me through the door. I think the window's closed.
Cash cow.
Cash cow. Cash cow. It's a cash cow.
Hasn't got any udders. How can it be a cow? It's a bull.
It's a bull. It's a cash bull.
Yeah.
It's a bull.
What a load of bull. Have we regressed to that? What a load of bull. Let's just move that here, Darren, before you scar the thing for life. Well, nothing says the transfer window is closed quite like a cow with a bell. Vinny asked a question before that, but I can't remember what it was now. Stuart's professional. Stuart remembers what the question is.
Borderline professional. Vinny actually mentioned about Sheffield Wednesday, and I was going to say, Vinny, the point you make is bang on when it comes to Aston Villa as well. Aston Villa have brought in a lot of players, and it seems to be a sort of throw spaghetti at a wall and hope that some of it sticks kind of approach.
Hold that thought. We've got a tweet. Norwich City, deadline day, hashtag has just got a little bit wild. And it's a picture of, well, I'm going to guess that's Yannick Wilshere with a Norwich City scarf. Can we do the deal? And cash cow. Cash cow. There we go.
Well, what a surprise.
This could be the end of my television career.
Yeah,
so
what a surprise.
Don't want to be able to say that. Vinny, you're still on the phone. 10 points for that, because that's an achievement in itself. They've signed Yannick Wilshere. How delighted are you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just come up on Twitter in front of me as I'm on the phone to you. Just as all that noise was going off, I saw it. Well, yeah, I mean, definitely a good replacement for Brady. I mean, from the people that I've spoken to, he is a match winner. Let's just hope he's more consistent than Brady, because that's a real shame that the guy had a lot of talent but just wasn't consistent enough for us. So let's hope that this guy provides the physicality that we need to carry on moving up the championship.
Great stuff, Vinny. We'll let you go because we appreciate you holding on so long. So I was just trying to make sure I was actually in the shot then, because I was disappearing by the graphic. I was getting a bit too excited about the cow.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's good for Norwich City that they've done that bit of business, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But should we just touch on Aston Villa, because they have shelled a load of money, as you were touching on, Stuart, and I did rudely interrupt you.
No, that's all right.
And then, you know, it's Scott Hogan, random. I don't even know if it's been confirmed.
Where's the money come from?
Oh, outside investors, but also, I mean, Taylor as well. They signed from Swansea. So they signed some good players.
Yeah.
So, but it's difficult to get them, particularly this time of the season, to get everybody to gel immediately all at once like that. But I admire them for it. You know, they are setting out a state course. They're putting down a marker to say what they want to do.
Building for next season, I think.
Well, it brought
I think
Steve Bruce
that's
in.
Yeah.
They obviously said, this is what we're going to do. That's why he went, which we probably didn't appreciate at the time. They have spent, as you say, an awful lot of money in the last week or so. They're going to be a different proposition for the second half of the season, aren't they?
Well, they lost 3-0 tonight, and you know,
but they didn't have the players then.
No.
But if you can afford big investment, people will do it, and the backers behind the football club can afford that. So it's not an issue to them, because they see the bigger picture of the bright lights of the Premier League if they can get back there. It's small change considerably, really, compared to the Premier League if they get there. In the end.
In the end, my colleague David Freezer has tweeted a picture of Corporal Jones from Dad's Army with "Don't Yannick, don't Yannick."
Nice.
Very nice one, yeah.
Yannick on the streets of Norwich, says producer Jake. We haven't talked about Leicester yet, have we? No, we won't do that. I won't tell you what he just said in my ear, otherwise. So there we go. £7 million for Yannick Wilshere. Are we all right with that?
Well, in today's market, it's pretty average, isn't it?
25 is a good age.
You know, I mean, that to me, when you consider what we've got needed was supposedly 1.5 to 2 times that for Robbie Brady, that leaves some money in the kitty, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, well, if he's signing for £7 million, he's been the biggest sign of the window for us. Get him in the team. Don't do what they've done before with probably Naismith and Pritchard and others, and kind of broke him in a little bit over time. Get him in. Where are you going to play him, though?
That's the thing. Where are you going to play him in?
Well, he's a left-sided player.
Got the rest of the season to talk about that. Don't worry about that. We've got another caller on the phone, which is Sam Lincoln. Sam, thank you for joining us on Deadline Day night, although, of course, the deadline is now closed. Tell us your thoughts on Norwich City's business today.
It's pretty much the same as always, really. A little bit underwhelmed, if I'm honest with you, to be honest. Not really sure what to make of this Wilshere. I think 7 million's quite a lot of money for someone who's only really done it in League One. Scored a handful of goals in the Championship. Good money for Brady. So have we improved the squad? Probably not. We've just really gone like for like, and more interested in this Dykes. I think he's a good player, and if we can get promoted, he's going to be the one. I think we need to sign him a permanent, by the sounds of things. 6'4" for a left back is pretty damn decent, isn't it, really?
Very true, Sam. Good man. It's nice to hear someone, you know, being realistic at this point before everyone gets too excited. Just on Mitchell Dykes, Darren touched on, you know, the loan move. Does that element have any alarm bells ringing, given that, you know, 2008-9 Glen Roeder loans and all that sort of stuff didn't go the best way, did it?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and obviously we've had a few dodgy loans in the past few seasons as well. But from listening to him and reading bits about him, it seems like he's keen, he's up for it, he wants to come to the club and he wants to do well. And it seems like he likes the club and wants a permanent move if we can get to the good old promised land of the Premier League. So hopefully he'll knuckle down and put it in and really show what player he is with a bit of luck.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Sam, just one short question before I let you go. Where do you see Norwich's season ending up now that basically this is what they've got to play with?
I think we'll just scrape the playoffs, and we'll just come in 6th on the last day with a nice little cheeky win.
Good man. Thank you so much for your call, Sam. Really appreciate that. I mean, that still strikes me as the optimistic answer, scraping into the playoffs. That's still not
But that's the way to do it, isn't it? You go into the playoffs at the end of the season with the momentum, and it just carried you all the way through, doesn't it?
I'll take that.
Yeah, I think you would. And then you get into the playoffs, it is a lottery. It really is. But Norwich, as we've seen so far this season, can beat anybody on their day, but also they can get thumped at times and play pretty poorly. So,
and they have struggled against the top sides. I mean, even with this run they're on at the moment, it's kind of a gentler run, isn't it? The teams they're playing are in poor form or just not much cop, really.
Yeah,
and ultimately, these 2 away games, you know, they're against poor sides, but they're away from home.
Listen, that's the key thing, right? We mentioned earlier on about the home form. I think everything's all right at home. I think we'll be fine at home until the end of the season. But I think the big question is 1st of October was the last away win at Molyneux. We've got to turn that round.
Well, I think it's really interesting to see the way he sets his team up at the weekend. Because is Wilshere going to come straight into the team? Is Dykes going to come straight into the team?
Well, we will see. We'll definitely talk about that in part 3. We've got our 4th caller on the line, Matt Ware. Matt, good evening. How lovely to speak to you this fine deadline day night. How are you feeling about things?
Well, it's always difficult to say too much about new signings in Dykes and Wildschut because, you know, I doubt many of us have seen too much of them. Hopefully they'll be good. The thing in general I'm slightly concerned about is that if Dykes, because I think he hasn't played since early December, so if he's not up to speed, and we know that Alex Neil likes to make sure that players are ready before they're thrust into the team, are we going to see Stephen Whittaker at left back for the next 3 or 4 games, which would be a bit concerning. So we have to hope he's ready to play. And also, I think everyone would like to have seen at least one good quality centre-back join, because obviously defence has been our problem. So, yeah, you know, we've lost 2 left-backs and signed 1. We've lost a winger that wasn't playing and signed a more experienced and hopefully, you know, more capable one in this division. He knows all about the Championship. But central defence is still a worry for me.
Brilliant stuff, Matt. Jen's an interesting touch, as Matt said, about Mitchell Dykes' fitness. I mean, I think they've had a winter break. He didn't play a lot before. He hasn't had a lot of action. He did play in a friendly game, I think, a few weeks back as they got back into the swing of things. But Alec Neil, it takes him a while to kind of bed players in, doesn't it?
But I think as well, I think Norwich have been unfit all season. They probably looked better over the recent weeks, but certainly the start of the season, right up to Christmas, I thought they looked off the pace a little bit, judging on their fitness. So actually, you might not be too far away from where they are already. So, but I just think you've just got to.
It's kind of a backhanded compliment, really.
But you've just got to get them in, even if you're not fit. You get through on adrenaline and stuff for the first few games, and that's what gets you that fitness, that match fitness. You can't get that anywhere else apart from playing football, playing matches.
That's a good point. Also, the factor is, if you look at the way that football's played in the Eredivisie and in many places in the continent, the speed, the pace of the game is different. So throwing someone in, it doesn't matter if they're match sharp, maybe, you'll still get a good 70 minutes out of them normally, but it's that pace of the game that they've got to adapt to. And I think with a new player, you're as well just throwing them in, especially Norwich don't have a plethora of options at left back.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the thing is, if you can get 65, 70 minutes out of him and you've got yourself in a good situation by doing that, because you've been steady, you've got a good setup and everything else, and it's been well balanced for once. If you've got a 2-0 or 2-1 lead, you can then afford to make the change if he's worn out.
But the importance of that, I can't stress you how important it is. How much work you can do on the training ground is nothing like playing matches. So the only time he's going to get his match practice is get him
on the pitch. Canary Scots has tweeted that Wilshere has scored 4 times in 25 appearances, including a double against Ipswich in December. So that's a good thing. Matt, how optimistic are you then about how the rest of this season goes? Do you seem a bit sort of lukewarm to the transfer window business? We think Matt's gone. Matt's gone. We'll never know.
Transfer window.
Do you think he'd have said that they'd finish in the top 6?
I honestly think we're all sort of fairly optimistic. I think we've seen in recent weeks what the team is capable of. But it's that consistency. Adding a couple of new faces to that can bring a little bit more of that. And that's the difference, really. I think we don't really know what we're going to get, and that still feels a bit uncertain. I think everybody knows that they're capable of beating anybody at any time, but they've just got to put that run together.
I have to say, I thought Wilshere, to me, did stand out when they came down here. I thought when he came on, he looked good for Wigan. Right, let's rattle through some tweets. I haven't seen any of these, so let's see what the boys have picked, shall we? And girls. Right, Clobbo has tweeted, what I know about Yannick Wilshere and Mitchell Dykes can be written on a postage stamp, so might watch them play before criticising the club, which I
think that's a spot-on thing to say. I don't think anybody's trying to be too judgmental about those players because of where they've come from or how they've been playing, because actually, like I said before, we looked at Naismith and Brady and all these players that were coming in who didn't do that well. Give them a chance how they play for Norwich.
Give them a chance. James Kent, have we got James Kent, or which is next? There we go. He's a top dribbler in the Championship. That's not bad. Let's have it. What other ones have we got? Let's rattle through these tweets, shall we? James Fimbo, Jim Bodge Hedgehog. The third thing is that Alec Neil isn't going anywhere this season. The board won't let him spend $7 million if his job is under threat, which is a very, very good point. That's the last tweet we'll look at. That's the end of Talk is Cheap. Gents, thank you very much. Thanks, as always, to everyone who got involved in this week's Talk is Cheap. And if you want to have your say in any future shows, simply send us an email to sport@mustardtv.co.uk. Right, after our final break, we'll continue the deadline day discussions. Hopefully, Mr. Eadie will be back. He's already back from the pub. What am I talking about? And we've got 2 big away trips facing Alec Neil's post-transfer window work. We'll see you in 3. Welcome back to the final part of tonight's live deadline day. There's a cow there. Dead Night Pinkun Show special with me, with Darren, Eadie, Stuart Hodges, and Phil Arms. And they know you can't see the cow.
It's not a cow. Ain't got udders.
It's a bull. It's a load of bull. There's the cow. Well done, guys. Right, deadline has passed, 11 p.m. We are past that now. It's been a long day. City have confirmed that their business is done by all accounts. So what we've got then, we have Carlton Morris has gone on loan to Rotherham for the rest of the season, and the rest of the business will come along on scroller in the screen in a bit. in a bit. It'll be there. Oh,
Okay.
there it is. Great. Sergi Canos has joined Brentford for £2.5 million. That's the end of the 19-year-old's career at Norwich. That was short and sweet.
Adios.
Indeed. Mitch, I love... He knows his languages, old Stuart Hodge, he does. Mitchell Dykes has joined from Ajax on loan for the rest of the season. And Robbie Brady has left to join Burnley for a record sale of plus £10.5 million, probably 13. And Yannick Vilshed has joined Norwich. I haven't actually seen what the contract length is, but I'm sure it's 2.5 years. Thank you very much, producer Jake. 2.5 years. He has joined from Wigan for, I believe...
That's a short contract.
That is a short contract.
That is short.
£7 million.
£7 million for 2.5
I tell you what
years.
it is. It's a January transfer window contract. That's what that is.
Sounds a little bit. I'm not concerned.
Wanted you to
but
finish
just-
your sentence.
That's thrown up a.
For only a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
Thrown a question mark in your
It
mind.
really has. Yeah.
Hold that thought, because we have David Powell back on the phone. He got cut off in his prime. So, David, thank you so much for coming back. Do you want to just, do that bit again? Only now the transfer window has slammed shut.
Yeah, we finally got the man over the line. I don't understand why it's took us like 7 hours to make the decision to Norwich City fans to say that we've got him, because we knew that at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we saw Mitchell Dykes put a picture on his Facebook page of him in the Norwich dressing room, confirming that his deal was sorted, and we had Brentford confirming, and I think Burnley confirmed the other two sales. Rotherham confirmed the cut for Morris. Basically, everyone has confirmed all of Norwich's transfer business apart from Norwich. Paul Warne as well. So I don't know. Is it maybe just the club? Do you see it as the club taking their time over what they announced and when? Would you rather they were more open and upfront as things went along?
Consulting.
I don't know, but to be honest with you, it's quite funny because he was actually in his Norwich kit this afternoon with his scarf in the air, but we didn't get the pictures till 7 o'clock tonight. So it doesn't matter. We've got him now, haven't we? So, I mean, I think it was a good decision to get Brady out of the door. And I think Alex Neil has actually got two good players.
That's interesting you say that Brady. So, I mean, clearly you feel that cashing in on Brady was a good idea. I mean, I don't know if Norwich were offered any more money in the summer particularly, and they obviously wanted to keep hold of him. Do you feel that gamble didn't pay off?
Maybe. I mean, it was 20 million, wasn't it, tagged around in the summer? But in all fairness, I mean, he's been a bit of a lightweight for us, and I think he's better off out. And good luck to him at Burnley. I won't have any grudges against him, but he's been very poor for us over the last 8 months.
Just finally then, David, where does this all leave Norwich for the rest of the season? Take us your optimistic deadline day punt on where Norwich's season is going to end.
I think we might just about squeak at 6th place.
And there it is again. There
That
it is,
seems
David.
popular.
Thank you so much for your call and for coming back on again. I really appreciate it. We'll speak to you during the season, I'm absolutely sure. See, there's that optimism again. Now, we were having a chat, weren't we, during the break, Stuart, or you were bringing it up about whether the Championship has actually been a lot more busy in terms of deadline day deals than the Premier League this time.
Well, it's quite interesting because
I think you find that was my point.
I was actually my point.
The Bull agrees.
That's a done deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the idea is when you're hearing Premier League stuff, a lot of it sort of seems dependent on what Chinese clubs are doing. And it seems like there's a sort of thing going on there. And then it's almost as if the Championship is like a realistic or a more realistic market anyway, money-wise, within itself, whereas the Premier League's just silly money. Almost like fantastical stuff. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I think the Premier League they don't tend to shop in the Championship too much anymore.
No.
So it's a completely different market. It's almost become two separate markets.
Yeah, well, it's different also if you're Aston Villa, of course. I still don't know if Scott Hogan deal was confirmed, but it's still not confirmed. So I guess Brentford will be hoping that it gets done. Anyway, there we go. Raoul, that is pretty much it for deadline day night. So let's spend the rest of tonight, shall we, looking ahead to some football. A big week for the Canaries too, on the road. It's Vilshed's former club Wigan on Tuesday night, but before that, City are taking on Collins Cardiff in Wales, and it should be a bit tasty.
When you're in last place in the fast race, running hard as you can, only half pace. Can't keep up, so you can't chase. Just put in your heart till your heart breaks. Side up, scarred, marked and half cut. Fell apart after your last love, but nothing hurts more than what dwelling on the past does. That'll tear you apart, trust. Broken phones and broken bud. Never found the one, but got close enough. Cry me a river, then soak it up and sing along to the songs they wrote for us. Out looking for those flings with no strings. A club built up of all queens and no kings. Crying out for a call for help. Still, you turn a blind eye when the phone rings.
Love a bit of Franco phrase.
It's
Oi,
twice
oi!
tonight. Two great tracks as
Great.
well. I just want to touch on Cardiff. They did win tonight. I think they beat Preston off the top of my head. Great goal from Kenneth Zohore, as I'm calling him. I don't, that's quite how you pronounce it. But, you know, they've got some decent players. And Neil Warnock's doing it again, isn't he? They were terrible at the start of the season, turning them round.
Yeah, but that's what the man does, isn't it? He goes in, he sets up a team not to be beaten, and then slowly but surely gets his ethos across and turns it all around. He's done. How many times has he done it now? How many times?
We shouldn't be surprised by
it.
it.
You know, I mean,
really.
that is why they took him on. I mean, he is one of the people that you know will turn a team round and actually challenge for promotion as well.
Yeah, but again, looking at the next two games they got with Wigan and Cardiff away from home, they're the games you've got to be winning or getting 4 points out of that at least to be pushing for those playoffs they need to get to.
What's brilliant about Warnock is, despite his age, his enthusiasm is just unbridled. When you see him talking about football, his face just lights up. And it's good to see that.
Is it? I don't like him.
I have to say, as a journalist, he's one of the best managers I've ever dealt with. Absolutely superb. I wouldn't have a bad word said against him.
Against Wigan, this all should go straight into the side.
Well, that will be,
and
whether there's a gentleman's agreement or whether he might have a sniffle.
There is.
Who knows at that point? I mean, it feels like a long time ago that Norwich, Cardiff, and indeed Norwich, Wigan, Premier League fixtures. Let's bring you how the Championship fixtures look this coming weekend, shall we? The FA Cup continues to catch up with Leeds, Fulham, Newcastle, Huddersfield, Brighton, Sheffield Wednesday and Wigan all in league action before the weekend. And come that weekend, the pick of the fixtures looks like being at St James's Park, while Sunday's you were very excited there, I thought, Phil. While Sunday's two fixtures look like good ones too. Norwich then have Tuesday to themselves when they head to Wigan.
Don't forget at the Ipswich game.
Did Townsend sign for Newcastle, by the way? That was touted earlier, wasn't
No,
it?
I think he played tonight.
Did
he assists for both of Christian Benteke's goals, so he won't be going anywhere.
Good.
And don't forget, Friday Sports Extra will have all the top lines from City's pre-match press conference. You'll also be able to catch all the highlights on Mustard TV's YouTube channel. And Nelson Oliveira, he should be back. We haven't got the 11s as normal, so we're just going to make it up on the hoof because, of course, we didn't know who Norwich would have to pick from. But Oliveira or Jerome?
What, you mean I put that all that work into that and Jake has let us down, has he?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to blame Jake, but Leicester did lose today, so we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about
But
that.
who'd you pick?
Cameron
or
Jerome
Nelson?
will play. Jerome played really well at the weekend. Alex Neil, when a player's had a good game, very seldom would change it. So I think...
Really? Oh, I think he's in the early part of the season. I think people played what didn't matter. He changed. Pritchard was a prime example of that. I think he'd often change someone who was playing
Pritchard in against
but he does
Cardiff.
have his favourites. And I think Cameron Jerome, even when he wasn't scoring, was still regular for the team. But now he's scoring goals.
Yeah, but Oliveira, though, when he got his chance, he took his chance and he's forced...
That's the problem with playing one up front.
He's forced the hand now of the manager, hasn't he? Because he is the man that scores the goals.
Yeah, but he's also the man who got sent off, and it was his fault that he got dropped.
Yeah. So he wouldn't chuck him back in. It's almost like not punishment, but if someone's scoring, you've done that kind of mistake, you're going to stick with what you got.
And as we saw, Jerome has got a good scoring record against his former club. Who gets chucked in? Who would you chuck in? Would you chuck them all in?
Dykes has got to go in because he's the only left back we got.
Hopefully.
I mean, actually, I'd play three at the back. So there you go. I'd have Martin closer and Dykes in at the back there, and I'd have Wilshere in front of him.
Unless he does a Brady with Wilshere and puts him left back.
Which surely isn't a real thing, is it?
No.
I wouldn't think so, but we've seen some strange things happen.
I must just say that Wilshere's deal is a 2.5-year deal with a year's option. So it does kind of make it, and those options will almost certainly be in the club's interest. So they can make it a 3.5-year deal if they want to. But we'll see, I guess, won't we? Long way down the line, that one. So predictions for Saturday's game? Result? What do you feel, Phil?
Because it's Neil Warnock, I'm going to say a draw. 1-1. They might... No, 1-1, and I ain't going further than that.
Neil Warnock will know exactly how to ruffle Norwich.
I kind of agree with Phil a little bit, but ever the optimist, I'm going to go for a win. Keep that run going. I'll go for a 2-0.
I hate to do this. I hope I'm totally wrong, but I fancy Cardiff to win.
Oh, well, we've just covered a lot then, haven't we?
One of us is going to be all right, isn't it? And in terms of points total from these two games, I know you were touching on it earlier, but with the Wigan game coming up to 4, 6 points, 3 points?
I'd go with Darren on that. It's 4 as a minimum.
Minimum points.
I think we need 4. I think we'll get 3.
Okay. I think we're done. I think that's live. Woo, I think that's live. Get the cow on. Get the cow on.
What are you doing
Get
to
the
that
cow
cow?
on. We are done for tonight. If you missed any of our live Deadline Day show tonight and The Cow, then fear not. Just search for Mustard TV's channel on YouTube and you'll be able to watch it all there, hopefully. Keep an eye on the Pinkun Facebook page after this, fb.me/the Pinkun. And hopefully we'll get some reaction from Paddy W if he's still upstairs. And for some post-window chat. And of course, I'll be at Cardiff City Stadium on Saturday to see how the city's new boys fare. So if you see me with a little camera around, come and say hello. You may even find yourself on our social media channels or over at pinkun.com. We'll be back at our usual time of 8 p.m. next Wednesday, fresh from City's trek to Wigan. It's going to be a long old week, isn't it? We'll also be live again, so make sure you join us then. But for now, a big thank you to Darren, to Stuart, to Phil, to all our callers, tweeters, as well as the Mustard team, and of course to your good selves for watching, and to the Cow. Until next week, here's to 2 trips, 6 points, and enough optimism to power us through to the summer. Good night, Jim White.